Yeah, my name's Paul.
And what did you used to serve in?
I used to serve in the British Army. When I was 19, I was serving in Germany, and I saw a decapitation.
Yeah. And how did it affect you, years later?
Many years later, I started having nightmares. And as time went on, the nightmare got longer and longer and longer. And it involved literally all my senses. It wasn't just visual. You could smell the cold and the diesel in the air. You could feel the wind, hear all the sounds. It was as if you were actually there on that spot at that particular time.
So how did it affect you serving in the army from a mental health point of view?
At the time, it didn't, because I think it just felt part of being in the army. It wasn't really until I came out of the army in the 90s that I started getting this odd image. And as time went on, it got longer, more detailed, and longer and longer. And then other images would creep in of other incidents. So, you just sometimes not want to go to sleep, so you would drink. You would have bad sleep patterns, so you become moody. You would eat poorly. You'd do everything you shouldn't do when you're just trying to avoid or hide away from a situation.
Then you went to TIAP. How did TIAP help you?
It helped me become a new person. Sounds like a cliche. It helped me see the bigger picture in my nightmares, which by this point had progressed into seeing it through the day when I was awake. They taught me techniques of how to manage my own emotions when these events were taking place. They gave me confidence, was one of the biggest things, to actually tell warts and all, every detail, rather than just skip over it and say, I bashed a car. It would be, look, I bashed a car, take the headlight out, the windscreen's gone, da-da-da-da-da, it'd be everything. It was, and I did this over, not face to face actually, I did this on visual, like a Zoom type thing, which allowed me to do this in my own home, which again gave me great, because I felt safer. Does that make sense? Everything around me was familiar, so I've probably opened up a lot more than I would do had I had to take a drive to wherever and then sit down in a waiting room and go through all that very impersonalized format. So the fact that you do it like that is really good. For me, everybody's different. Some people might want to actually be in the same room as whoever they're talking to. How else did they help me? They made me not analyze, but they gave me the confidence to actually reflect on what had happened in my past in a very different way, with a bit more seeing the good rather than the horror. Because one of the things that did come out of the IAP was that where my nightmares would start and finish at a certain point, that wasn't the end of the story. They'd actually taken me further to read the last chapter. And the last chapter, 9 times out of 10 in these episodes that I was having, was actually good things, which, when you take it as a whole, makes sense of everything. And once there's some sense in it, then there's order. And once there's some order, you can actually put it into manageable segments and live with it. And that's the thing. I will always have these, they're not nightmares anymore, but I'll always have these visions, but they can't harm me. I'm safe. and I've been taught how to process them in such a way that it do shit into my mind. And they are doing now. As we're talking, they're shooting into my mind now. And are they bothering me? Nah. And that is probably the greatest thing that they've done for me, yeah.
Excellent. So, if there's another veteran watching this and they're in a similar situation, they keep having flashbacks and, you know, remembering things, getting on that grenade from the army or the services career, what advice would you give to them?
Difficult one. I think my advice would be twofold. It would be to anybody who is around, you know, a veteran or somebody that served in you know, the police or fire brigade or, you know, any service that does come across instance. My advice would be firstly to the families and friends, you know, guide them to that support, help them, you know, reach out on their behalf, but with them, you know, do it in a way that they trust you, and you can do that more than even my sons and my wife and my daughters helped me do that. And that is really important. If you're on your own, that's a bit more difficult. My advice really would be, you know, if you love those around you, if you want to see them grow old, if you want, you know, to have a good quality of life with them, then you really need to reach out and get some help, because if they don't, then one way or the other, they won't be much longer for this earth, because they will either check out voluntarily, or they will let themselves just wither away through substance abuse, be it alcohol or drugs or you know, prescribed medications, and they will terminate their own path of life. And that's sad to see when there's so much brilliant help out there now. It's not a stigma anymore. You know, it's not something to be ashamed of or embarrassed. No matter how big, tough, brutal you've been in your life, it's okay to say I'm broken and help me. And that really is important. And with the services that are out there, you know, the IAP team and many others, there's no need for anybody to feel alone now. No need for anybody to think there's nobody can help them. Am I fixed? I say no, I'm in remission. I can live with what's happened. Am I happy? Happiest I've ever been in my life. Absolutely, you know, I wouldn't change anything. No, I wouldn't. Because I'm a far better person for it, I think. So I wouldn't change anything. So if you want to be me, or if you want to be like me, then go get some help. Get help for your friends and family.
That's absolutely brilliant, Paul. Thank you.
Okay.
Are you all right?
Fit the bush.